Here's what we're going to learn in this class. Today, we will be drawing a colorful sea turtle using acrylic Posca markers. I really like using Posca markers because they are very vibrant and colorful. The materials we will need for this class are covered in the next video, and you can also find a list of them with links below this video in the About section. We're going to have a lot of fun today using vibrant colors. I invite you to check me out on Facebook and Instagram at Andy's Artitude. Be sure to also follow me so that you see new classes whenever I upload them. And if you have any questions or don't understand something in the class, I would be more than happy to answer your questions. So just post your questions. I also invite you to feel free to share your work. Let us all see what you've done if you like to. I would love to be able to check it out and see what you've done and know that your work can be inspiring to all of us. It is now time to start this class. So sharpen your pencils and let the class begin. In this class, we will be drawing using Posca markers, and the drawing surface we'll be using is a black illustration board. Now there are different types of these boards available for sale online and at stores. I will be using a crescent illustration board. If you have another type of dark surface, that is fine. I've had students work on jewelry boxes and on their iPads and follow along the class using my coloring techniques, but adapting it to their needs. I, for my part, like using these black surfaces because they allow these acrylic markers that are so vibrant and colorful to really pop. I love how the colors show up so well on this dark surface. So like I mentioned, we'll be using Posca markers. These are acrylic markers. There are other brands of acrylic markers, so whatever you have at your disposal is fine. I enjoy using Posca markers, and I find the markers to be high quality, and in my experience, they don't tend to get stopped up. The colors we will be needing are the following: yellow, white, orange, blue, dark green, light blue, and sea green. We will be needing a white colored pencil to do the initial sketch on the blackboard. If you're using another type of material to draw on, such as white paper or something, then in that case you will use a regular pencil or pen. We will also need a dark blue colored pencil for some of the shading, or if you don't have that, you can also use a black or gray colored pencil. I'm using Prismacolor pencils. With that, we are done gathering our materials, so let's start with the class. Alright, so I'm going to start with a white colored pencil, and what I'm going to do is mark on the black illustration board where I want the front and the back of the turtle to be. Specifically the turtle's shell, which I'll be drawing initially. So right now I'm going in, adding in the little marks for the shell. And now in between them, I will draw a large arc like this. And then for the underside of the shell, I'll draw another arc. Basically what we're getting is the shape of a football, and you notice that on the front bottom right, it's a bit more rounded, where the top arc is a bit flatter, whereas the bottom arc is more rounded. Next, what I'll do is draw a little curved triangle at the back here, and this will be the back of the shell. Next, I'll come in and draw another line, a parallel line to the bottom edge. In reality, this line that I'm doing now represents the bottom of the shell, whereas the lower line at the very bottom is the bottom of the body of the turtle. Next I'll come in and draw an oval at the top middle of the shell. And then what I'll do is I'll square it off a little bit, making it more like a hexagon shape. Alright, now we're going to go from the corners of this shape up at the top and draw lines out to the edge of the shell, drawing these curved lines as if they were radiating out along the shell to form the divides in the plates of the shell. Think about how they curve around the curvature of the shell. And then we'll divide these up into a second row. At the bottom we'll have these narrow little segments of the shell. And we'll do the same at the top to have another row up here. Next, we'll work on the neck, and we'll draw these two curved lines coming out of the front of the body. This will be the neck, and then we'll continue on drawing the head. It's a bit of an oval shaped head, but not too oval, not too long. I'm trying to get the head and neck to flow together properly. Now that that is done, I'll make a mark for where I want the eye to be near the bottom front of the head. And then I'll draw the eye, and the eye is the shape of a teardrop, a bit rounded at the bottom and pointed at the top. And then we'll draw the mouth and the beak at the front. After this, we'll draw in the little segments of shell on the head, and we'll just draw random shapes. Some can be long, others can be short, and we want to work these in around the eye, and they tend to curve around the eye itself, and we want these segments of shell to flow. And then we'll stop them near the back of the head. Alright, continuing on, we're now going to work on the front leg, And we're going to start out by building what you might call a shoulder, and we'll do this by drawing this little hump and then drawing out the leg or flipper itself. Be sure to round off the fin at the end. Next, we'll draw the other fin that's on the other side of the body, and this one we only see a little bit of the lower part of it, so we'll draw that in. Next, we'll draw the back leg, similar to how we did the front fin. Finally, we'll draw the tail. Next, we'll go in and add in the little scales or pieces of shell on the fin. What I like to do is draw little hexes and little shapes on the fin and then divide it up that way. We do have a row of pieces of scale on the back fin and also on the front fin. For the front fin, what I'll do is I'll go along the back and front edge of it and add in these little shapes. First adding the little lines and then connecting them with a curved line one to the other, and then in the remaining space I'll go in and fill it in with the little hexes. And for the fin on the far side of the turtle, I'll just add in a little row of scales on the inside, or in other words, on the left side of the fin. Alright, so we're going to step in with a sea green Posca marker, and we're going to color in the body, all of the body that is flesh, so the neck, parts of the head, parts of the shoulder, and the tail. And it may be necessary for you to give 2 coats in order to cover thoroughly and block out the black paper. Once you've completed this step, let it thoroughly dry before moving on to the next step in the next video. We're now going to come in with a dark green Posca marker, and we're going to color in the little shapes on the head of the sea turtle. So we'll just color those in nice and thoroughly, and again you may need to add in more than 1 layer so that it covers the black of the paper all the way. Alright, so now we'll grab the dark blue marker and we'll add the little mouth by adding in a line, and then we'll focus again on the shapes of the head. And what I'd like you to do is just add in a line at the bottom half of all the shapes on the head, just as you can see me doing now. This will give the effect of having a bit of a shadow down there, like the pieces on the head have a bit of an edge and are casting a shadow. Imagine the light from the surface coming down, pouring through the water, and hitting the tops of the little pieces, but the lower part has a little bit of a shadow still. Alright, so now in contrast to what we did with the blue, we'll now come in with orange Posca and color a bit of the upper part of the green spots. And as you can see, I'm working the orange down into the green, about halfway down each shape. Once this is dried, I'll come in with a yellow, and we'll add just a bit of yellow at the very top, on top of the orange, just at the edge, and this really gives the illusion that there's light pouring down over the head of the sea turtle. Also with the yellow, what I'll do is add in a little bit at the top of the eye to make it look like it's a bit round and curved. So just add a bit with yellow. Once that has dried, I will go in with some white and add a little touch of white over that yellow, just at the very top, and I don't want to overdo it. So I'll stop there. Alright, so now we're going to come in with an orange Posca marker, and we're going to add in these wrinkle marks on the neck and body. So these lines don't go all the way up the neck, they only go up about a fourth of the way or so, and we don't want them to be all the same length. I'd like you to try to have them be different lengths, and they can also overlap one another every so often. We'll also do this at the top of the neck, and these two, as with the bottom lines, only go about a fourth of the way down. And then we'll move over to what is the shoulder, and we'll drag some lines that curve up and around just a bit, as you can see me doing here. We'll also do this to the back leg. And we'll also draw these little curved lines around the tail. Alright, now that the orange has dried, we're going to come in with a dark blue Posca marker, and we're going to do the same thing that we did with the orange. We don't want to cover the orange all the way, we'll just intermingle the blue lines in with the orange. when it comes to the top of the neck, I'll try to add less blue because this is a brighter area and the sun is hitting this part of the turtle, so it'll be less dark and more in the light. Alright, now we're coming in with a yellow Posca, and we're going to only add a little bit of yellow to the top of the neck, playing off this idea of the light hitting the upper parts of the turtle, and therefore it's brighter. We'll also do this a bit, but not too much, on the shoulder and tail. Finally, we'll come in with a light green Posca marker, and what we'll do is we'll lighten up some of these areas on the head and body, which are going to be a bit brighter. So these areas of the body and head are not receiving as much light so as to receive the yellow Posca, so they're in between a highlight and a shadow area. So therefore we'll use this light green. And keep in mind that you don't need to cover over the whole sea green that we added at the very beginning of the coloring phase. We're just adding a little bit of this light green in some areas, as you can observe me doing. Alright, for this next step, we'll come in with an orange Posca markers so we can work on the fins of the turtle. And right now with our orange, we're just going to go in and outline all of the little shapes on all of the fins. And now that this is done, we'll use a blue and we're going to go in and color in all of the little shapes inside of the orange. So you may need to add more than one layer depending on how well your marker covers the paper and how much that paper absorbs the marker. But that's what we'll do. We'll just fill in all of these little shapes and then let them dry. Alright, now we'll grab a light blue Posca marker and we're going to shade the scales on the fins a bit. So what we'll do is we'll just go in on the upper side of each scale and add a little bit of blue on the inside of the scale, and we'll also add in a bit of line work on top, just a bit on the rest of the scale. And we'll do this for the big main fin and also the back fin, but we will not do it for the little fin that's on the other side of the turtle. Alright, now that we're done with the body, we'll step in with a dark green and we're going to start coloring in the shell of the turtle. So what we'll do is we'll add in these lines going up and down. So as you can see that I'm doing, we don't want to fill in the segments all the way. Instead, we want to add in these lines that loosely fill up the segments. Alright, we're going to grab our orange marker and we're going to mark out all the divides of the plates on the shell of the turtle by drawing these lines through all of them. So we'll just go in and outline all of these lines on the shell. Okay, using the blue marker, we're going to work in lines that flow up from the bottom of each plate, or in other words, from the bottom of each fragment of the shell, and we're going to work these lines about halfway up, and we want these lines to blend in, or in other words, flow into the green. So what I'm doing is I'm adding a nice amount of thick lines at the bottom of the fragment of the shell, and then I work them up a little bit and loosen the line work as I go up higher on each fragment. So each line that you do adding the blue doesn't have to be or shouldn't be the same length. You don't want them to look like just a row of blue. You want it to kind of blend in and interlock with the green, so to say. And to achieve this, I make some of the lines long, some short, just try to be random. Alright, now that the blue is dried, we're going to come in with a yellow marker, and we'll do the same that we did with the blue, but this time we'll work from the top, working our way about halfway down with the yellow in the same exact style and method that we used for the blue just a minute ago. And we want this yellow and blue to kind of interlock and connect in this middle area of the fragment. This way it's like we have a light highlight area that's growing in the sun, and the lower part is a bit darker with the blue, with the dark blue. Alright, now that we got the turtle all colored in, we're going to come in and work on some final details. So we'll grab the yellow Posca marker, and what I'm going to do is add just a bit of yellow to the top of each little scale on the big main fin and also the back fin, so that we have the same highlight effect at the top and dark at the bottom, similar to what we've done on the head and the main shell. So be sure not to overdo it. We don't want to cover the light blue that's already there. We'll just add enough so that we have a bit of yellow there. And like always, if your yellow doesn't show up enough, you might need to add more than one layer. Okay, so we're going to come in with a Prismacolor indigo blue colored pencil, number 901, and this is a really dark blue colored pencil. And what we're going to do is just a bit of shading here and there, especially on the little pin that's on the other side of the body, also around the lower part of the neck and on the mouth. We'll also do a bit of shading on the lower part of the body, what's colored in green blue, just there at the edge, and also right at the edge of the shell, so it has a bit of a shadow indicating a bit of an overhang. One thing I will point out is that be sure that the acrylic marker has had plenty of time to thoroughly dry, and when using the pencil just go over lightly, adding in soft layers, building up the layers slowly. This way you don't scrape up the marker. So we're going to continue with our shading using our dark blue colored pencil, the indigo blue colored pencil, and what we'll do now is work on shading the shell of the turtle, and we want again, like the whole turtle, the light to appear as if it were coming and glowing from the surface of the water, so from up above. So we want the top of the shell and also the top of each segment to look brighter. And we'll also darken the little lines dividing each of the segments of the shell. So we'll go over them gently with our pencil. And what you see I'm doing is I'm just building up layers a little bit at a time. I'm also trying to get the blue to blend with the yellow. So I'm just hitting the edge or the lower part of the yellow streaks with a bit of the blue pencil. And that softens that transition from dark blue to yellow. And the other thing I'll do is I'll keep the inner segments a bit brighter and the outer segments towards the far left and far right of the shell I will darken a bit more so that it looks like the center part or the part closer to us, the viewer, is a bit more illuminated. So I want you to work slowly, building up soft layers of pencil a little bit at a time so that way you don't overdo it. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this class and were able to learn something from it. Please feel free to post a picture of your drawing so that all of us can see what you did. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to start a discussion below this video, and I will be happy to answer your questions. If you would like to support me, please check out my website at www.andysartitude.com, and feel free to visit me on Instagram and Facebook, where you can see daily updates of my artwork at Andy's Artitude. Stick around here and follow me, because in the coming weeks I will be uploading more classes. That's been it for now. I hope you have a wonderful day. See you in the next class.